Hello, Alan Ryder, Southeastern Railway Museum, and welcome to another in our series of videos about our SD45-2 former CSX 8954. This will be a short one. Mostly it's about finishing up the work we did on installing the batteries. A few other details we have to take care of, and without further ado, we will move on. These are all our batteries installed. And one of the things that we discovered when we were installing the batteries is that we appear to have something I'll call a zombie load, because when I touch the lead, we get us a little spark here. And all the breakers are turned off, the battery switch is open. So we're going to have to explore that and see what's going on. It's not uncommon on locomotives for extra accessories to be hung on across the batteries and not even on the schematic. So we're going to explore that a little bit. But before we go into taking wires apart, I've got a 74-volt test light across one of the battery leads to the battery. It's kind of hard to see, but the odd thing is if you watch that test light, it glows and then it dims. It glows like that and then dims off. So again, there may be some gizmo attached across the battery terminals somewhere in the cabling or back in the electrical cabinet. What you're looking at here, it's hard to hold the camera still, is the back of the battery switch. I've got the access cover off in the back end of the electrical cabinet. So what you're seeing there is all the cables connecting to the battery switch. Down there, that's the bottom of the battery switch. That's the switched side. And up above, that's the connection directly to power. So that's got battery power on all the time, even when the knife switch is open. And what I've found is, if you look at the wire labels, which are kind of hard to see, of course, especially by camera, but there's 4 on either side, and 2 of them have original factory labels, 2 of them have new labels that were added. So I'm pretty sure that the ones that are added are where we have our issue. And of course, if those go to a circuit breaker that's turned off, it's wonderful. But if they go directly to something that's not disconnected, we have a problem. And I think I might have found the source. So we'll switch over and take a look. So this is the main electrical cabinet with quite a collection of relays and assorted switch gear. So I'm looked around for stuff that looks new. It wasn't original. There's a gizmo up there, which is probably an automatic ground relay reset. A few extra wires here and there. That's probably for low idle. This engine does not have the low idle working, and I suspect that's why that wire is disconnected, but we'll get to that. So I keep looking around, and lo and behold, here's a electrical device of some sort. And I'll take the light away, and there's a little green light that's blinking on and off. So there's power to that. So I follow it down, and there's a power supply. That's called a Wilmore power supply, converting 74 volts to 13.5 to run some sort of gizmo. This gizmo. What is it? I suspect it's a GPS tracker. It's not uncommon for railroads to add stuff that can't be disconnected, particularly like if you don't want to lose your locomotive. And I expect that's what this is, which is all well and good when the locomotive's in service, but when it's parked for a long time, it's a zombie load on the batteries. So we'll hook up our test light here and make sure that that's what it is, but I'm sure it is. So we'll hook the test light up. Make a connection here, and lo and behold, it lights up. So I'm going to disconnect this thing and see if our zombie load goes away. Looks like we found the source of our ills. Here's the battery connector. No spark. And just for good measure, got the test light hooked up across there and nothing is happening. And that's what we want. So we found the problem. And now we just have to deal with disconnecting it in a more permanent way. So what I did is I traced these wires back, and fortunately they're relatively easy to follow. Through here, through here, through there, here, here. And it doesn't go right to the battery switch. Rather, it goes to one of the circuit breakers. The circuit breaker panel is designed with screws and hinges so that you can open it up from the front. And found our offending parties. They're on this circuit breaker right here. Sorry for the jiggly camera. And that is the radio breaker. And they could have put it on the switch side, which would be down where my finger is, if you can see it. That's the switched side of the breaker, but they put it on the hot side. The radio breaker is one of those breakers that's connected directly to the batteries, and that's kind of to keep interference from damaging the radio system. So that's the standard practice. So what are we going to do about it? Well, we're just going to disconnect those wires and tie them back, because we don't need GPS or whatever that gizmo is. Side note and pet peeve, whoever installed this just took the nut off like that and put the connector right on the stud. That's a bad practice. You should always have a washer like that one between your ring terminal and your nut. And the reason for that is if you don't do that, when you go to tighten or loosen it, it'll move this, and it'll actually can move the stud. So a little bit of instruction on proper electrical wiring. The fending wires have been disconnected and they're tied back here. So put everything back together. So the wires at the Wilmore power supply have been disconnected and taped off now. So that should take care of our problem. And we might someday use that Wilmore power supply for something else, because it's a 74 volt to about 13 volt converter. So if you got a radio or something like that, you could use it to power it. For now, we'll just leave it in place. Cover back on the back of the panel for the access to the battery switch. Now we're on to hook the batteries back up. Everything back together and batteries connected. So that little challenge has been taken care of. One last thing to help prevent these terminals from rotting out is a little bit of this battery terminal corrosion preventing. So I got it sprayed on there nicely, so hopefully that'll take care of things. Before I put the side covers back on the battery boxes, and there's one of the side covers down below, I need to put blocking in, and that's what you see there, cut out of 2x6s and 2x8s. That's to keep the batteries from shifting back and forth if there's slack action or bumping around, which happens more on the road than it would at our museum, but we still want to be careful. So blocking on both sides. This is the other side. Got the end blocking installed here, and we've also got a blocking on the side. Once we put the cover on, that'll keep the batteries from shifting out, and that should take care of everything. Now we're going to install the side covers for the battery boxes, and Caleb's going to give me a hand on this as they're a bit awkward to handle. may or may not stay put. This right side cover gave us a little bit more trouble than the other side, mostly because the bottom bolts are rusted and seized, so we couldn't really back them off very easily, so we had to kind of struggle to get the thing into the slots. And I'm going to speed this one up a little bit more. Okay, side panels are on. What I'm going to do is to go to the hardware store and get some more bolts for the ones that are missing. But beyond that, it's back together and blocked. Well, we got bolts in every hole that would take them, and every one of them's got anti-seize on it, so hopefully they won't rust and bust off the next time we need to take the covers off. Well, that finishes up the battery work, and it pretty much wraps up the day as well. And we've got her back to bed in her usual spot, and this will pretty much conclude this short video. Hope you enjoyed it, and thank you very much for watching. If you happen to be around Atlanta, come see us. We always welcome visitors.